Good day and welcome to SCO BRICS Insight, where we look at what's really going on in the world of the BRICS. Now, my name's Rod Mackenzie, and today I want to talk about the ongoing and escalating trade war between the US and China. Well, it seems that China has dealt a serious blow to the US aviation giant Boeing, which over the past few years has been losing a major part of its share of the global aviation market to Europe's Airbus. Now, it's been announced that Beijing has refused to accept the delivery of new and ready-to-fly Boeing planes. Now, this could lead to the future losses of Boeing, which are estimated to be in the tens of billions of dollars. I mean, the beneficiaries, of course, will be the European aircraft producer Airbus. However, Russia could also get a potential advantage in this game, but we'll talk about that later. Now, it's been reported that China has instructed its airlines not to accept any further deliveries of Boeing aircraft or components and parts. Now, the American company's already completed and ready to fly planes in its warehouses that were originally intended for Chinese airlines. According to the Aviation Flights Group, around 10 Boeing 737 MAX aircraft were expected to join China's fleet in the next couple of months, including 2 each for China Southern Airlines, Air China and Xiamen Airlines. Now, China's expected to account for 20% of the future global demand for aircraft, and currently a significant number of both European and American aircraft are operational within China. I mean, Air China, for example, has over 400 Airbus aircraft and a further around 860 of Boeing. China Southern has slightly more aircraft, almost 500, but also a decent number of Boeings as well. I mean, China's Eastern has approximately 450 Airbus and over 300 Boeing aircraft. And the fleets of other Chinese airlines are smaller, but they still include hundreds of aircraft from the various European and European manufacturers. Now, before I continue, I'd like to make an appeal. If you like and enjoy my videos, you can help me fund the channel and my website, SCOBRICSinsight.com, to further develop them. You can do this by making a small donation, which you can do by clicking on the thanks button at the bottom of the video screen. Everybody who donates does get a personal thank you from me, and I'm thanking you all just for watching. And please like, subscribe, share as much as you can, and do keep the comments coming. Love to read them, love to respond to them. Now, the American President Donald Trump has issued a statement criticising China's recent actions. It's interesting to note that they have recently withdrawn from a significant Boeing agreement, he stated, and we will not accept fully assembled aircraft. Trump stated on his network Truth Social that he believes Americans should persevere as he anticipates that China will eventually accept his terms and agreements. Well, good luck with that, Donny. Now, this is obviously a highly unfavourable step for Boeing. I mean, the decision by China to halt Boeing operations represents a dual challenge for the company, with implications for both its market share and its cost escalations. I mean, China's previously held significant contracts with Boeing that remain unfulfilled. I mean, in annual losses, we could be looking at around 10 billion, says Pavel Sestyanov, who's a professor of political analysis at the Plekhanov Russian University. Now, if the two countries do fail to actually engage in proper adult negotiations, the loss of the Chinese market is going to be a significant setback for Boeing and America. I mean, the Chinese market is one of the largest in the world. I mean, and it's also one of the largest expanding ones. I mean, the potential loss of contracts amounting to tens of billions of dollars cannot be ruled out if they don't actually reach an agreement. I mean, let's look at it logically. The Boeing 737 MAX, for example, is valued at over $100 million. And the loss of orders for 10 aircraft is an immediate loss of $1 billion. Now, you also need to add in the lost revenue that's generated from the spare parts and maintenance, a sector of which the American giant has a strong presence, according to Roman Gusarov, who's head of the industry portal Avia.ru. Now, a further negative factor for Boeing is all these orders will now be received by its direct competitor Airbus, which will further strengthen its position in the global market. Now, in recent years, Boeing has experienced a decline in its market share relative to its European competitor. It used to be that they were pretty much matching each other. I mean, up until 2023, they were both performing strongly. But in 2023, Boeing sold 207 fewer aircraft than Airbus. Then in 2024, Boeing not only failed to recoup these losses, but experienced a further deterioration in its results. I mean, Boeing's fallen well behind Airbus by as many as 400 aircraft. And that represents a significant disparity between the two aviation giants going back to since Airbus actually started. I mean, the American manufacturer delivered only 348 commercial aircraft to airlines, marking its worst result in 2024 since 2005, not including the impact of the pandemic. In contrast, Airbus achieved its best results since 2019 by selling 766 aircraft. So the decisions by many airlines to refrain from operating the Boeing 737 MAX 9 in the wake of the various accidents and the imposition of the regulatory checks has had a serious and significant impact on Boeing's commercial aviation activity. So the last thing they need is a problem with China. And these issues have contributed to a decline in its manufacturer's competitiveness. Plus, China's been targeted by a particularly sensitive area of the US market. I mean, by discontinuing its purchase of Boeing aircraft, China will likely order Airbus, which are assembled in Europe, and might actually move some of their own its Airbus production to China. I mean, that's an option, but I think it's unlikely. A third option is China's own aircraft industry, but I have serious doubts about the feasibility of this operation, given the heavy reliance of the Chinese aircraft industry on imported components. I mean, as with Russia's former project, the Superjet, it's highly dependent on Western components. I mean, its own narrow-bodied plane, Comac C919, that represented a minor component in the fleets of the major Chinese carriers, with less than 100 of them are flying currently at the moment. Now, according to reports in the Chinese media, only 40% of the components in the aircraft are imported, but I really don't believe that. Because according to the Centre for Strategic and International Studies, and they've analysed that the main suppliers of the C919 said that the figure is actually much higher, just as I thought. The study found that 3/5 of the suppliers are companies from either the United States, and a third of the suppliers are from Europe. And out of 14 key suppliers from China, 7 are actually joint ventures with foreign companies. So the impact of any restrictions imposed on key components by American entities could actually be significant. So I think we can rule out China's ability to produce its own aircraft because it's been hindered without having Western involvement. Now, even if these components are produced in Europe and they can do so under an American license or have American intellectual property, then the US can actually prohibit the supply, says Roman Gusarov. So basically, Europe would actually be delighted to capture the share of the Chinese market that Boeing loses, but provided it can safeguard its national interests against Americans. I mean, as we know, the Americans can damage severely. They've tried it already with Airbus. Now, the Russian aviation may benefit from the battle, but it's not going to be through the sale of the MS-21 Russian jet to China, which are scheduled to be launched into commercial production in 2026. And they're going to grow. But by 2035, the MS-21 will be produced for Russia's own needs because they really do need it. I mean, Russia's currently embarking on a new complete import substitution program for its foreign aircraft, both Boeing and Airbus, and there's about 600 imported aircraft that need to be replaced over the next 10 years. So it's going to be challenging to predict the future of global air transportation market in the next 10 years. But China is unlikely to adopt a passive approach. I mean, the country is set to continue its active import substitution policy for its own aircraft with the aim of achieving self-sufficiency, but that's not going to happen within the next decade. In general, China has no interest in replacing Boeing aircraft with Russian aircraft. Its aim is to become a major aviation power itself and fly its own aircraft, but that's going to take a lot of time. So just Russia's joint project with China, which was to create a long-bodied, long-range aircraft, was terminated because Russia's objective was to get financial investment and access to the Chinese market, while the Chinese sought to get Russian technology and manufacture the aircraft in China domestically. So, however, Russia does remain committed to supporting China's aspirations to become a major aviation power. I mean, it's going to happen if the US restricts China's access to components for its own aircraft, such as the MS-21, as they did to that, Russia will try look for Russia's assistance to ensure the successful completion of its aviation projects. And that could potentially change the dynamics of the relationship. But Russia has the capability to design components for supply for Chinese aircraft, and it already has a certified PD-14 engine for this type of aircraft, so it is feasible. But I think that it's not really going to happen. I mean, Russia will be transferring the technology for its production, but they could well positioned to manufacture and market to the Chinese. So that's the format which Russia can help, but its former trading partner and its major trading partner. So what happens? I think Airbus is going to be the major beneficiary, Boeing the biggest loser, and let's see what happens in the fun and games and the tariff games. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe and set the alert button so you get informed when I post a new video, and click on the thanks button at the bottom of the screen if you want to make a donation. See you all again soon. Thank you.